I decided to binge watch all 8 episodes of Heartstopper in 2 days, and let me tell you, in those 2 days, I laughed, I cried, I screamed, I squealed, I was on the floor and needed a moment to collect myself. I went through it all. Netflix Heartstopper has got to be hands down one of the best LGBT coming-of-age shows I've ever watched. And after having just watched season 5 of Elite, I really needed to watch a gay relationship that's a positive representation of our community. Not one that's dramatic, unrealistic, and overtly sexualized. So seeing Charlie and Nick's romance being portrayed the way it was meant so much to me, and I'm sure to so many of you out there. And what makes Heartstopper even more successful is how they're not one to shy away from covering a variety of LGBT topics besides homosexuality. There's bisexuality, transgenderism, homophobia, social acceptance, you name it. But of course, the one thing that really resonated with people was Charlie and Nick's relationship, which is why I'm now going to give you 10 reasons why I love those two together. Here we go. Starting the countdown is number 10, the athlete-nerd dynamic. One of my guilty pleasures in life is watching the jock fall in love with the geek and vice versa, and that's what Charlie and Nick's relationship represents. Nick, the rugby king with the strong rugby arms, falls for Charlie, the skinny, openly gay band geek who couldn't believe that this guy whom everyone thought was straight would reciprocate those same feelings he has for him. As a self-proclaimed nerd back in high school, I've had crushes on straight jocks, and it's not solely because they're athletic, it's also to do with the fact that they were being nice to me. A straight kid who looks semi-decent being friendly to a gay kid can seriously mess that gay kid up because, in my opinion, it gives the gay kid the feeling that there's a chance that he or she likes you back, when what really happens 9 times out of 10 in the end is the gay kid being left heartbroken. So Charlie is one lucky kiddo to have the supposedly straight kid who is strong enough to carry you around with ease also liking you back. Number 9. Cute and awkward interactions. Nick and Charlie would do things to one another that may seem insignificant, but to you and me, they're just so gosh darn cute. I can think back to all the times they would always bump into each other and greet each other ever so sweetly, or when they would use their pinkies to touch each other to get the other person's attention, or that time when Nick was always finding an excuse to touch Charlie's curly hair during that snow day scene. I even find Nick drawing a smiley face on Charlie's arm to be so adorable, and it's great because it's something kids in real life would actually do if they have a crush on someone. Number 8. Nick being protective of Charlie. Whether it's Nick keeping his boo away from Ben's predatory ass, or Nick defending Charlie's honor after he was humiliated by homophobic Harry, I just love how Nick isn't afraid to give these losers a piece of his mind or even a beatdown. Not that I condone violence, but they had it coming. First of all, Ben was really annoying with all the gaslighting he did to Charlie, but Harry constantly putting his arm around Charlie in that one scene was really difficult to watch. It may not seem obvious, but he was clearly trying to physically intimidate Charlie. And he called him the F word. Who does that? So I'm glad Nick taught him a lesson. Number 7. First kiss. Their first kiss, low-key, deserves a whole video essay of its own, just because it was so beautifully filmed. But to keep it short and sweet, I appreciate how the scene began with Charlie straight up asking Nick if he liked Tara, to which he says no. Then it continued on with Charlie gently probing him with more questions. What impressed me the most was how the questions didn't sound accusatory or forceful, he was just trying to carefully gauge if Nick is into boys. And he did that so masterfully. And mind you, Nick looked really nervous the entire time, but it was the good kind of nerves, not the bad kind. And in contrast to that, Charlie looked cool as a cucumber. So I was impressed with the whole build up to that amazing kiss, or should I say kisses, since Nick, after kiss number 1, was like, F this, let me hold this boy's hand and kiss him with more confidence this time. I was clutching my pearls watching the whole thing unfold. Number 6. Their general chemistry. This is quite a generic reason since we can kind of loop in other reasons on my list into this one, but I just love their chemistry so much, even when they were just kicking it as friends. Honestly, the best kind of relationship to have is the one where you were already best friends prior to getting into a relationship together. For Charlie and Nick, I have to reference Snow Day again because that was such a significant moment for them as friends, and it was the catalyst for them getting together later on. It's so significant that Nick even gifted Charlie a beautiful photo frame of that day for his birthday. That entire scene was so wholesome and romantic with the snow and the dog, and them playing with the snow and the dog. Kudos to the actors Kit and Joe for making it look so easy and natural. And later in the same episode, they were watching a film together with Charlie having fell asleep and Nick so badly wanting to hold his hand but couldn't bring himself to do it. Like, when you piece all of those moments together in your head, it's literally impossible to not match those two. Number 5. All their hugs. Minimum 10 seconds, of course. Cue the hugging montage. Sometimes hugs can just be as intimate as kisses, and let me tell you, whenever I see Nick hugging Charlie for long periods of time, it just makes me melt. Especially that first hug in Charlie's house. That was so spontaneous but so lovely. It even made Charlie's sister, Tori, low-key ship them. I just love Tori, by the way. I thought she was going to be one of those stereotypical annoying older sister characters, which she is, but she's so much more than that because she's also very supportive of her baby brother, so we stan Tori on this channel. Number 4. Genuine concern for the other person. Another thing that makes Charlie and Nick so shippable as a couple is the simple fact that they truly care about the other person. I noticed that Nick has this tendency to always ask Charlie if he's okay whenever he suspects something is off, and I find that to be so precious. And let's not forget about all the times they would say sorry to each other. It became such a habit for them that they even rebranded the word sorry into the S word, as if it's a swear word you shouldn't use. But I can definitely understand where they were coming from because constantly saying sorry to your significant other isn't really needed. It sounds too formal in a way. It's like, let's say you accidentally bump into a stranger. You're obviously going to say I'm sorry, but if you bump into someone who's close to you like a partner or a sibling, saying I'm sorry can feel a little bit awkward. Does that make sense? With Charlie specifically, it gets a little bit deeper because his concern for Nick gets to the point where he's willing to sacrifice his happiness and his relationship with Nick so that Nick wouldn't have to deal with the baggage of being close to someone who's openly gay. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I also got the sense that Charlie implied he even wanted to take his own life just to make Nick's life less difficult. I found that really heartbreaking to watch, and I was so concerned for Charlie at that point. So I was really glad Tori was there to comfort him, but I just wish Charlie wouldn't put himself down so much. But unfortunately, that's what bullying does to you and your self-esteem. If there's a season 2, hopefully he and Nick can work through this thing together as a couple. Number 3. Bisexual representation. Bi erasure is a real thing, y'all, whether it's in real life or in fiction. I don't know why there's such a stigma attached to bisexuality. I mean, it's the B in LGBT. Maybe it's because there's this mentality where you're supposed to be just one or the other. But fortunately in Heartstopper, they made an incredible decision to make one of the main characters in the main relationship bisexual. And what's great about this is that them making Nick bisexual wasn't just a random thing that was thrown in the last minute. There was a good build-up to him realizing his bisexuality and coming to terms with it as we had seen him go online and do his research on it, and even bringing this up to Charlie, who was really cool about it and didn't make a big deal out of it. Personally, I don't care a lot about labels, but because there's such a lack of bisexual representation out there, especially male bisexuals, I felt that Nick coming out as bisexual and happily operating in a homosexual relationship was very important to see in television. Number 2. Nick's bravery. For someone like Nick who is so new to this whole gay thing, to be so aware of his feelings and making an effort to understand these feelings, I find that to be so brave and commendable. Even when he wasn't ready to come out yet, he still did not hesitate to treat the gay kid, who is Charlie in this case, with a lot of love and respect. For example, he didn't mind holding Charlie's hand in Harry's birthday party, or the fact that he did not mind resting his head on Charlie's shoulder in class. Or even better, he had the cojones to get in front of hundreds of people during sports day and hold the boy's hand to take him away. But I believe one of the bravest things he did so far is coming out to his mom and saying he's dating Charlie. Coming out to a parent is the hardest thing you can do, and he did it with such grace. Nick in general is such a mature person for his age, and that's also why his relationship with Charlie has been successful so far. And the final entry on this list of reasons why I ship Charlie and Nick together is that they're both endgame. Okay, first things first, I have not read the webcomic or the graphic novel that this show is based off of, so what I'm about to say might not even be valid, but within the context of Heartstopper Season 1, Charlie and Nick are absolutely endgame. And that's the tea. This is important because there are so many other LGBT shows that end with some kind of drama or angst in the last episode, and because of that, I was mentally prepared to see something bad happen between Nick and Charlie, but nope. Their story in Season 1 ended on a happily ever after note, and I felt such relief. Not only that, it makes it so much easier to root for them. Of course, I do recognize that a possible Season 2, 3, and even 4 might be in the works. Oh gosh, I really hope the show gets renewed. If that were the case, I foresee more drama in the future, but I wholeheartedly believe it won't be the kind of drama that would lead to any sort of toxicity. If anything, the sort of challenges they will eventually face together will only make them stronger as a couple. And that, my friends, marks the end of my countdown. What do you guys think about my list? Does it mostly match yours? Or do you have another set of reasons for shipping Charlie and Nick together that wasn't mentioned here? Or do you for some reason don't ship them at all? Because if that's the case, we need to work this out. Anyways, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content from me. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all very soon. Bye!